Shri Shivaji Vidya Mandir, Aund. Welcome to our biology class. In previous lecture, we have seen the breathing as well as the external respiration. And in both type of a respiration, we have seen the how breathing occurs as well as how oxygen and carbon dioxide externally carried out and carried in. Now, we will see internal respiration, and in this internal respiration there are two types of a transport. First is the transport of O2, that means the transport of oxygen, and second type is the transport of carbon dioxide. First we will see transport of oxygen, and after that we will see the transport of carbon dioxide. We already know that in a respiratory system or in a respiration of oxygen and carbon dioxide, there are main two components are involved. First is the plasma and second is the RBC. RBC means red blood cells. And with the help of this RBC and plasma, these gases get transported. On the basis of this, we will see transport of oxygen. When oxygen is transported, at that time only 3% of oxygen get dissolved and remaining 97% of oxygen get attached or bind to the hemoglobin. And we already know that with the help of hemoglobin, oxygen get transported or carried out. That means this hemoglobin is a carrier of oxygen. That means it is a respiratory carrier. Now see here, this is the hemoglobin and this is the 4 molecules of ions, and this is the oxygen. Oxygen get binds to the hemoglobin and it forms a oxyhemoglobin. Now here you can see this oxyhemoglobin get transported from the lungs to the tissue. At that time they releases the oxygen and it get dissociated. That's why only oxygen get transported via hemoglobin. Now here you can see there is a one type of a graph. Before starting this explanation of graph, we will see two types. We will see two types of effect. First is the Bohr effect and second is the Haldane effect. So basically we will just clear basic thing, that is this will cell this will plasma and this will RBC. Here will be CO2 and here will be O2. Now in Bohr effects, it shows that when this level of oxyhemoglobin get increases, at the same time the level of a CO2 get decreases. That means the pressure, that means the partial pressure of CO2 get decreases. That means here is the partial pressure of CO2 is high and here is the partial pressure of O2 is low. When this level of oxygen get increases, at that time this level of CO2 get decreases. That means a partial pressure get decreases, and here partial pressure get increases. At the same time, that means there is another effect, Haldane effect. This Haldane effect shows that the level of a pH of a blood. Basically, oxyhemoglobin is a acid, and it is acid. That's why we already know it will have a pH. When hydrogen atoms get increases or hydrogen ions get increases, at that time this level of pH also get changes. And when these hydrogen ions get increased, at that time this carbonic acid will get changes into water and the carbon dioxide. That's why in the alveoli, here partial pressure of oxygen is high and partial pressure of carbon dioxide is low. Reason behind this oxygen get binds to the hemoglobin. That's why here partial pressure of oxygen is high. And in the cell, partial pressure of oxygen is low and partial pressure of carbon dioxide is high. Reason behind this oxygen doesn't bind to the hemoglobin, and it results in the release of a O2, and this oxygen get released. That's why here partial pressure of oxygen is low and the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is high. Now we will move towards Bohr's effect. That means this curve, that means this graph. Basically, the relationship between hemoglobin saturation and the partial pressure of oxygen is called as a oxygen dissociation curve. This curve shows that dissociation of oxygen on the basis of the partial pressure of oxygen. I have already told that when hydrogen ions get increased, at that time this curve also get increases and it started to shift towards right side. You can see from left side this curve is started and it ends to the right side. That means it shifted to right side. When ions of a hydrogen get increased, at that time partial pressure of CO2 get increases. At that time the affinity of oxyhemoglobin get decreases and it started move towards right side. Here you can see the partial pressure of oxygen at the 30 mmHg. The saturation of oxygen only get started, and when you see the partial pressure of oxygen at 100, at that time saturation of oxygen get totally 100% done. That means at the lungs alveoli. And here you can see when partial pressure of oxygen get increases, at that time partial pressure of CO2 and the level of pH also get changed. So in first you can see there is a partial pressure of CO2 is low but the pH of a blood is high. In second you can see there is a normal partial pressure of carbon dioxide and there is a normal pH. And in third, there is a high partial pressure of carbon dioxide but the level of a blood, that means the pH of a blood, is low. Therefore, here conclusion is, because of the partial pressure of CO2 get changed, that means it get increased or decreased. On the basis of this level of a oxyhemoglobin get shifted towards to right. Now we will see the transport of a CO2. Basically this carbon dioxide get dissolved in the water and it get transported by RBC as well as plasma in the three different forms. First form will be a biplasma in solution form, second is the bicarbonate ions, and third is the by RBCs. So first we will see the biplasma in a solution form. You can see I have here written that biplasma in solution form in bracket only 7%. That means only 7% of carbon dioxide get transported in a dissolved form and in the form of a carbonic acid. So here you can see I have already told that this carbonic acid get breakdowns into oxygen and water, and that's why this carbon dioxide get dissolved and it forms a carbonic acid. Second method is the bicarbonate ions, 70%. That means here 70% of a carbon dioxide get released by the cells, by the tissues, and again it will get diffuses into plasma and the RBC. Again here I will draw same diagram. Cell, plasma, and here will be RBC. Here are 70% of CO2 get releases by this cell or a tissue, and it again get diffuses into plasma and in the RBC. Here this carbon dioxide get bind to the water and it will form carbonic acid. We have already seen this reaction in the plasma, but this carbonic acid get formed in the form of a particular enzyme, and this enzyme is called as a carbonic anhydrase. This Ca indicates that carbonic anhydrase, and because of this carbonic anhydrase this carbonic acid get formed. Basically this carbonic anhydrase is specially found in only RBC. It will not found in a plasma. I again repeat, this carbonic anhydrase only found in a RBC. It will never found in a plasma. That's why in the RBC there will be a high rate of a formation of carbonic acid, only because of this carbonic anhydrase enzyme. That's why this hydrogen atom will get dissociated from the carbonic acid. Reason behind this enzyme carbonic anhydrase, it shows accumulation of HCO3, and that's why this hydrogen ion get dissociated, and this all reaction occurs in a RBC. When this hydrogen ion get dissociated, the next, and it come out from the RBC, and when it come out from the RBC, at that time the ions balance get disturbed. That means it get imbalanced, and for this maintenance of ion balance between the RBC and the plasma, chlorine get diffuses in the RBC, and this movement of chloride ions called as a chloride shift or the Hamburger's phenomenon. We already know this HCO3 get moves out from the RBC and it come into the plasma. And when it comes into the plasma, at that time it get binds to the sodium ion or a potassium ion. And when this bind to the sodium ions, at that time it will form a sodium bicarbonate, or if it get binds to the potassium, at that time it will form a potassium bicarbonate. But in between this hydrogen ion get remain. That's why this hydrogen ion get bind to the hemoglobin, and when this hydrogen get bind to the hemoglobin, at that time it will form deoxyhemoglobin. Deoxyhemoglobin means reduced hemoglobin. Reason behind this hydrogen ions is suppose that it will have a low of a blood, so that it get buffered by the hemoglobin, and it will form a deoxyhemoglobin, that means a reduced hemoglobin. At the level of our lungs, there will be a always low partial pressure of a carbon dioxide. These hydrogen ions and these bicarbonate ions again get combined and it forms the carbonic acid. Here you can see this is the hydrogen ion and this is the bicarbonate ions. Again it get combined and it form a carbonic acid in the presence of a Ca. Ca is the enzyme that is a carbonic anhydrase, and because of this carbonic anhydrase, again this CO2 and water get dissociated. Now we will see the third type. It will be a by RBCs, and here you can see there is a 23%. That means the 23% of a carbon dioxide get transported. In this RBC, there will be a 23% of carbon dioxide will transported. For this carbon dioxide get bind to the amino group of a hemoglobin. That means In the hemoglobin, amino groups are present, amino ions are present. To these ions, this carbon dioxide get bind and it will form carbamino hemoglobin. Reason behind this, these molecules are get bind at that place where the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is lower, and that's why it releases the carbon dioxide. Now we will see the cellular respiration. In the cellular respiration, there are two steps. First is the oxidation and second is the phosphorylation. In the oxidation, food get oxidized and in phosphorylation, ATP get generated. So here, in the oxidation, these complex organic molecules get break down into simple inorganic molecules, and at that time it releases heat energy. Next is the phosphorylation, and in the phosphorylation ATP is generated and this heat energy get converted into high energy bond, and this high energy bond is called as a ATP, and this ATP is useful for the various life processes. So this ATP has a very important and vital role. That's why this ATP is called as a energy currency of the cell, because this ATP has a high energy bond, and because of this high energy bond in our body, it plays a very important role. Today we have seen the internal respiration and cellular respiration. In the internal respiration, there are two types of transport of carbon dioxide and transport of oxygen. In the transport of carbon dioxide, there are three forms: by plasma, by bicarbonate ions and by RBCs. And in the transport of oxygen, there are two effects: Bohr effect and Haldane effect. As well, also we have seen the oxygen dissociation curve. Next, we have seen the cellular respiration, and in the cellular respiration we have seen the oxidation and phosphorylation. In oxidation, food get break down, and in phosphorylation ATP get generated. Thank you.